everyone, I'm Tom Hammond, here to take you through the first 10 years of the Breeders' Cup, now firmly entrenched as America's championship day at the races. But when Central Kentucky thoroughbred breeder John Gaines dreamt up the idea of the Breeders' Cup, there were a lot of skeptics, both in and out of racing. But plans went ahead for the first Breeders' Cup day at Hollywood Park, and the day proved to be a tremendous success. Nearly everything that could happen in racing happened that afternoon. And by the end of the day, we knew the Breeders' Cup concept would work. That inaugural running of the Breeders' Cup was held under clear skies at Hollywood Park. The afternoon got started with the $1 Million Juvenile at a distance of 1 mile, and the big favorite was Chief's Crown. Here's Tom Durkin's call.
And they're off. Bionic Light shows first on the outside. Spectacular Love is moving right with them. There goes Proudest Hour now, charging up on the inside. Secretary General is also out fast, and in between horses it's Spend a Buck. A battle for the early lead as they enter the main track, and Spend a Buck now emerges with a short lead, and Proudest Hour driving up on the inside is now second by ahead. Secretary General right there in between horses. Bionic Light right with the early leaders. He's fourth on the outside, about 2 lengths back. And then 3 more lengths to Spectacular Love now. He's settled into 5th position, and the favorite Chief's Crown is 6th. 7 lengths off the leaders as they head for the half-mile pole. Toward the inside, Tank's Prospect is now racing in 7th position. Script Ohio is now 8th. And farther back are the trailers, Concert Hall and Dauphine Fableau, as the field races round the far turn. The quarter in 22 and 2 1/2 and 45 seconds flat. And Spend a Buck now. He's got a 2-length lead. Bionic Light is giving chase in second. And here comes the favorite, Chief's Crown, and he's flying on the outside now as the field turns for home. Proudest Hour is giving it up now, and he's fourth toward the inside. And Tank's Prospect is gaining ground toward the rail, but they still have Spend a Buck to catch. Chief's Crown attacks on the outside. Tank's Prospect is now third toward the inside. Bionic Light is fourth. They're inside the final furlong, and here comes Chief's Crown on the outside. He's taken the lead. Tank's Prospect, a late move toward the inside. They're coming to the finish. Chief's Crown, here's the wire, and a champion is crowned. It's Chief's Crown.
So the first ever Breeders' Cup race was in the books. The 2-year-old fillies were up next, and the stretch run produced the first of many unusual incidents in the history of the Breeders' Cup. In the green silks, Franz Valentine, who finished first, had made contact with Pirate's Glow.
Tiltillating, Cordero goes to work on this front runner, but it's Fine Spirit who takes command as they come to the final furlong. Weekend Delight is moving up. Here's Franz Valentine on the outside, and Dusty Hart is there toward the rail, and Bessarabian, she's a beaten filly today. Savannah Dancer, they're coming to the wire. Outstandingly, she's charging on the inside. They're coming to the finish. Franz Valentine, outstandingly. Franz Valentine, a huge upset here.
For the first time ever, television cameras show the deliberations of the stewards on the incident at the top of the stretch. Fernando Toro, the jockey on Pirate's Glow, explained how his horse was knocked off stride and out of the race by Franz Valentine. The tape showed Franz Valentine had indeed impeded Pirate's Glow, costing her any chance of winning the race. The stewards, after viewing the incident from several angles, disqualified Franz Valentine, placing her 10th. A dejected Pat Valenzuela had been denied victory, as jockey Walter Guerra and Harborview Farms outstandingly were made the winner. The world's fastest horses were up next in the 6-furlong sprint, and the favorite was a horse with blazing speed, Elo.
And they're off. Elo is right out for the lead, and he sprints clear quickly by 2.5 lengths as the field moves up the backstretch. Princess Tracy now moves into second on the inside. Commemorate is now racing in third. Tangent is racing in fourth. Pleasure K is fifth in between horses. Explosive Wagon on the outside is now sixth. On the inside, Charging Falls is seventh. Pac-Mania is eighth in between horses. Reish is ninth on the outside, but he's only about 5 lengths back. Oris on Uctaran is second to last, and Fighting Fit is the trailer as they race round the far turn. Elo is bounding along with a 2-length lead. Pleasure K is second in between horses. Princess Tracy toward the inside. Here comes Commemorate now, and he's making his run for the lead as they approach the quarter pole. Then farther back, it's Tangent racing in 5th position. Charging Falls toward the inside. On the far outside, Fighting Fit is 7th as they come to the final furlong. Craig Peart now, he's all out on Elo, and Elo responds at his neck as they hit the wire.
The Breeders' Cup Mile brought together the best milers on turf from Europe and North America, and the favorite was a filly who excelled on both continents, Royal Heroine.
The filly Royal Heroine is making her run now on the outside, and Learfan has dropped back. They're coming to the final 16th of a mile. Royal Heroine sweeping to the lead from the outside. Cozine is now second. Tights is making a late run, and they're coming to the finish. Royal Heroine, a host of others closing in, but here's the wire, and Royal Heroine has won it.
The time, 1:32.3, would stand as the fastest mile in the first 10 years of the event. Holding the event at Hollywood Park ensured that some of the most famous faces in the world would be in attendance. Notables of politics, television, and the movies convened for an afternoon at the races. Few events in sports history turned out such a glittering array of stars as the first Breeders' Cup. From the majesty of stars to the majesty of a princess, all eyes were on the magnificent gray Princess Rooney in the mile-and-a-quarter distaff.
But it is Princess Rooney who comes to the final furlong with a 2.5-length lead. Princess Rooney, Eddie De La Houssaye now goes to the whip. She's in front by 3 lengths. And then it's Life's Magic now second down the inside. Farther back, Adored is third. And they're coming to the final 16th. Princess Rooney in a romp. Here's a champion. Here's the wire. Princess Rooney, an absolute runaway winner.
Next up, the mile-and-a-half turf with a purse of $2 million. 1983 Horse of the Year all along from France. Second choice in the race to the American Majesty's Prince.
They're coming to the final furlong. All along is put to the test. Strawberry Road toward the inside. Lashkari is right at her neck. Rami on the outside. Here comes Lashkari all along digging in. They're coming to the wire. Lashkari getting up in the final strides.
Lashkari lit up the tote board, paying $108 to win. Imagine putting up over $300,000 to run a horse in a race where no one thought he had a chance. That's what Bill Allen and partners did for the first Breeders' Cup Classic.
If there's a Cinderella horse in the Classic, it's this horse, Wild Again. He's never run against the likes of Slew of Gold, but his owners have put up a record sum, $360,000 in supplemental money to make him eligible. Bill Allen is one of those owners, and I guess the obvious question is why for a horse that's 30-1 on the morning line?
Well, obviously, we don't think the horse should be 30-1 on the morning line, and probably will not go off at 30-1. He's been long odds in all of the 3 races that he's running this year, but the 3 races that he's won of importance, he's been 1/5 off the track record in 2 of those races and broke the track records, and one of them by 5 lengths of Oaklawn Handicap. And he's beat some of the best horses in the United States, and we've been waiting to run against Slew of Gold on a California track rather than going to New York to meet him.
Horse of the Year was on the line for the leading older horse in the country, Slew of Gold, who was sent off at 3-5, even though it was known he was suffering from a quarter crack in a hoof and might not have been 100%. A pace setter for him, Mugati, was also in the field. Second choice was the Preakness winner, Gate Dancer, easy to spot with his trademark earmuffs. And don't forget the long shot Wild Again in the $3 million Classic.
They're in the gate, and they're off in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and Mugati, he's put right to the whip from the gate. Up to take the lead. He's bearing out now as they pass the stands the first time. Here's Precisionist to join him, and in between horses, it's Wild Again. 2 lengths back to Desert Wine. He's settled into 4th. And the big horse, Slew of Gold, is off the rail, and he's racing 5th by 4 lengths. Track Baron is now racing in 6th. Canadian Factor toward the inside. Gate Dancer is the trailer. He's about 12 lengths off the lead. We've got a 3-ply battle for the lead around the turn. And Wild Again emerges with the lead. Precisionist on the outside. Mugati toward the rail. The first quarter, a snappy 22 3/5 seconds. They enter the backstretch. Wild Again battles it out and takes the lead now by 3/4 of a length to half, and 45 3. precisionist pressures the pacemaker from the outside. Toward the inside, it's Muggety now. He's dropped back third, a gap of 4 lengths to Desert Wine racing in fourth. Slew of Gold is still fifth. He's settled into fifth place now, and he's beginning to move up on the outside, a gap of 4 to Track Baron. Gate Dancer is second to last with a half a mile to run, and Canadian Factor is far behind as the field heads for the far turn. 3/4 in 1:10 and 3, and Slew of Gold now. He's charging on the outside up to engage the leader. Wild again. It's Wild again with the lead. Slew of Gold. Cordero aboard at Tex now with 3 furlongs to go. Those two are matching stride for stride. Here comes Track Baron. He's putting in his run. And Gate Dancer, he's in full stride now. And he swings wide for the final quarter mile. On the inside, Wild again is game, and he's holding on to the lead by a head. Slew of Gold is right at his neck. Here comes Gate Dancer on the outside there in the final furlong. Wild again, desperately holding on to the lead. Slew of Gold is right there in between horses. Gate Dancer on the outside. What a finish. Wild again, Gate Dancer, Slew of Gold in between them. Those three in a dramatic finish, and here's the wire. Wild again does it. I believe it was Wild again, an upset winner. Gate Dancer was right there. Really was a bit too close to call, but the big horse, Slew of Gold, was defeated today. He was third.
There was clearly some contact between the 3 horses in the stretch. Wild again on the rail, Slew of Gold between horses, Gate Dancer on the outside, and Slew of Gold took the worst of it. Jockey Angel Cordero Jr. explained the incident to the stewards.
But the last 8 to the mile, he just got bounced around both sides. The inside horse kept going out, and then the second horse started coming in at the end. And we made a lot of contact. You know, I could do nothing about it. He was just bouncing around back and forth. Thank you, sir.
The stewards deliberated for more than 10 minutes before reaching their decision. The question was whether the first place finisher, Wild again, on the rail, or the horse who finished second, Gate Dancer, on the outside, would be held to blame for bumping Slew of Gold. Finally, it was decided that Gate Dancer was primarily to blame for the bumping. He was disqualified from second to third, and the gamble of Wild Again's owners had paid off. The masterful ride of Pat Day on the lead would live on in racing history, and the Breeders' Cup had been established as racing's championship day. It's a lot more than 3,000 miles from the glitter of Hollywood to the grittiness of Aqueduct by the subway in New York City. But that's just the transition that the Breeders' Cup made in its second year. Along with the change in locale, it was a change from the warmth of California to a blustery, overcast fall day in New York. But even so, the stars came out. 2-year-old colts got the day started at Aqueduct. It seemed that Stormcat had the race won in the stretch, but a surprise was awaiting him in the final yard.
And it's Stormcat. Stormcat leads by 3/4 of a length. Scat Dancer surging on the outside. Regal Dreamer is racing in third. Mogambo and Tasso full of run on the outside. They're inside the final furlong. And it is Stormcat who leads by 2.5 lengths. Tasso is full of run. They're running out of ground. Stormcat, Tasso, here's the wire, and it is too close to call. It's a photo finish. It can go either way.
It was Tasso, trained by Neil Drysdale, who got up in the final stride to steal the juvenile from Stormcat, with Scat Dancer finishing third. Tasso would go on to be voted 2-year-old champion colt. The mark of D. Wayne Lucas as the dominant trainer in Breeders' Cup history began in the 1985 Juvenile Fillies. Lucas sent out a 3-horse entry at odds of 3 to 5, and they lived up to Advanced Billet.
And they're at the top of the stretch. And it is Twilight Ridge. She's put to the whip and holds on to the lead now by a length and a half. Here's her entry mate, Family Style, on the outside to join her. They have left Silent Account behind in third. Still a Kiss is putting in a late run. They're coming to the final 16th, and it's going to be Twilight Ridge. And Family Style is second. They left the others far behind. Here's the wire. Twilight Ridge has won it.
The Lucas entry running 1-2. A field of 14 went to the post for the sprint. A dangerous horse in the race was Precisionist, who normally ran at longer distances. In his first start in more than 4 months, he shortened up to 6 furlongs.
They're off. Smile is away quickly for the lead. Charging Falls is there. There goes Mount Livermore. Mount Livermore sprints clear quickly now by a length. Charging Falls is trying to stay with him. Precision is toward the inside. Smile is sent after the lead from the outside from fourth. Ziggy's Boy came away racing in fifth. 56 in a row is sixth. Al Salah is seventh on the inside. On the outside, there goes Al Salah now beginning to move up. Committed is now moving through toward the inside from 10th position. On the outside, Villicaya now racing in 11th. Pancho Villa is 12th at this point, fighting fit. He's putting in his run on the inside now. Then Vicarm is next. Entremy is far back in the field, along with Key to the Moon, and now the field comes to the top of the stretch. Mount Livermore on the inside. Smile is right at his neck. Here comes Precisionist, and he's charging down the middle of the racetrack. And then farther back, the mare Committed is racing in fourth. They're inside the final furlong. Smile, Mount Livermore. Precisionist surging. Smile is short blade. Precisionist down the outside. Mount Livermore toward the rail. What a finish. Here comes Precisionist to snatch the victory in the final strides.
Precisionist, who would make 4 career starts in the Breeders' Cup, was on the mark. John Nehru was one of the founding fathers of the Breeders' Cup. In the 1985 mile, he had a strong interest in the race. He owned the New York-based Cozine, who was trained by his son Jan and was one of the top choices.
Al Mamoun, he's still the one to catch, and he accelerates at the top of the stretch to a 2.5 length lead. Cozine takes aim at the leader on the outside, now racing in second. Shadid is back in third. Dr. Schwartzman a late run. Here comes the gray horse, Cozine, and he powers up now to take the lead. Al Mamoun is back in second, and Shadid is racing in third. They're coming to the finish, and it's going to be Cozine to win it, and a flawless ride by a jubilant Walter Guerra.
Trainer Jan Nehru sent his gray colt Cozine to a convincing mile victory. Trainer D. Wayne Lucas sent out yet another 3-horse entry at 3-5 in the distaff. And once again, they performed like odds-on favorites should.
Lights Magic on the outside has taken the lead now. And Lady Secret, the front runner, is now back in second. Alabama Nina is racing in third. Don't Stop the Music on the outside fourth, and it is going to be Life's Magic. She's winning this one, pulling away from the field, and has left the field behind in the wake of a devastating performance. Life's Magic has won it by 6 lengths.
For the second time in the same day, horses owned by Gene Klein and trained by Lucas had finished 1-2 in a $1 million race, and their moments of Breeders' Cup glory were just beginning. Charisma in a racehorse is a hard quality to define, but when horses have it, fans know it. In the 1985 Turf, Pebbles, a 3-year-old filly from England, had those qualities. She was sent to America with her companion, a boyfriend of sorts, a gelding named Come On the Blues, who was always stabled next to her and had a calming effect on the filly.
And they're up. And Persian Tierra is going out for the early lead. Who's for Dinner is there. There goes Teleprompter now, and he's up to take the lead. Teleprompter sprints clear quickly by 3 as they head for the first turn. Who's for Dinner now moving into second. Strawberry Road is now third toward the inside. That farther back, Persian Tierra has now settled into 4th position. Lashkari is 5th on the outside. Greenton is steadied. Danger's Hour is 7th in between horses. Theatrical is 8th on the outside. Bob Back is now racing in 9th position. By him on 3 wide round the turn. Chernazar is in between horses, now racing 11th. And Pebbles is 12th at this point. Sharon 4 is 13th on the outside. Morjan 14th and last as they pass us for the first time. Tony Ives has Teleprompter out where he wants to be. He's trying to throttle that speed. The lead is 4.5 lengths as they pass us for the first time. Who's for Dinner is rated off the lead in second. And toward the inside, Strawberry Road is tucked nicely in third. Persian Tierra is still racing in 4th. Greenton has racing room now, and he moves through on the inside from 5th. Lashkari, between horses, now races in 6th position. Then Theatrical caught wide going into the second turn. The field heading for the backstretch, and now they're getting to Teleprompter. His lead's been cut to 2.5 lengths. Who's for Dinner now has asked for more run, and he moves strongly, now racing in second. Strawberry Road in hand and racing in third. Persian Tierra. There goes Greenton now, and Pinkai puts him in gear. Theatrical just 3.5 lengths off the lead. Sharon Poor, and he's picking off horses one by one. Danger's Hour is there. Lashkari just 4 lengths off the lead. And Pebbles, she'll need racing room. She's in tight toward the rail, just 3 lengths off the lead. As as the field moves into the final turn. It's still Teleprompter who's Ferdinand and Greenton. They're both chasing him now. Persian Tiara right there on the outside. Strawberry Road. Danger's hour between horses, looming boldly in 6th position. Pebbles still needs racing room. She's just 3 lengths off the lead. Then it's Theatrical and Lashkari as the field turns for home. Greenton charging after Teleprompter. Pebbles with racing room now, and a daring move by Pat Ettery, and Pebbles has taken the lead. It's Pebbles now in front. Strawberry Road coming after her from the outside. Strawberry Road and Pebbles, they're doing to the finish. Pebbles is game and determined. Strawberry Road driving hard. They're running out of ground. England Super Filly. Pebbles has won it.
It was a remarkable victory, overcoming trouble in several spots in the race to finish on top under Pat Ettery. Pebbles, the darling of English racing fans, had captured the hearts of America as well. 84's juvenile winner, Chief's Crown, number 5 in pink and green, was bidding for Horse of the Year in the Classic. But he had to contend with Gate Dancer and a late developing 3-year-old.
It's Track Baron with a short lead. Imperial Choice is gaining ground on the outside. Ben Landingham. Chief's Crown is surging. Chief's Crown now emerges from in between horses. Imperial Choice is right there. Gate Dancer is closing boldly on the outside. Proud Truth, he was last down the backstretch. He's taking it to the leader. It's Gate Dancer in front with less than a furlong to run. Proud Truth is right at his neck. Proud Truth on the outside. Gate Dancer is game. Proud Truth ahead. Gate Dancer goes to a driving finish. Proud Truth has won it.
John Veach, who was denied victory when he trained Alidar to 3 consecutive second-place finishes in the Triple Crown, had brought victory to John Galbraith's Derby Dan Farm in a $3 million race. But for Jack Van Berg and Gate Dancer, it was their second narrow loss in the Breeders' Cup Classic. It was back to California for the 1986 edition, but this time to Santa Anita in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. In the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the D. Wayne Lucas trained Capote got out of the gate quickly and never looked back.
It is Capote in front and driving hard. Qualify, gaining ground in second with a furlong to the wire. Capote is full out to hold the lead. He's there by 2. Qualified trying to catch him from the outside. It is still Capote. Qualified with one final surge. No, Capote has won it.
Qualify finished second to Capote, and the late closing 3rd horse in blue and white would be heard from again. His name was Ali Sheba. Once again, a Lucas-trained horse, Sakawista, was favored in the juvenile fillies. But instead, it was the Mel Studi-trained Brave Raj who blew the race wide open.
Sakawista has yet to find her best stride. She's 8 lengths back at the top of the stretch. And Brave Raj surges to take the lead as they come to the final furlong. The whip is out on her, and she opens up now. It is Brave Raj opening up and pouring it on as they come to the finish, and Talpiano is now second. Saros Brig is a distant third. They're coming to the wire, and Brave Raj is sharp in victory at Santa Anita this afternoon.
It was a glorious moment for our grand lady of racing, the 85-year-old owner of Brave Raj, Dolly Green. Her filly on her way to the 2-year-old filly championship. The 3-year-old Groovy was the dominant sprinter of 1986, and he was sent off at 2-5 in the Breeders' Cup. But when Groovy didn't get the jump out of the gate, it was anyone's race.
And they're off. And Pine Tree Lane is away first. Groovy was away second, and Smile away third. Up the backstretch. Pine Tree Lane in front by a neck. Groovy to her outside, to her inside at Smile. It's 2.5 lengths back to Double Schwartz now, who races in third. In between horses, there goes Green Desert now, gaining ground from 4th. Bedside Promise 5th on the outside. Taylor Special is 6th, and he's about 8 lengths off the lead. Love That Mac is second to last, and Carlo trails the field. Into the far turn, Pine Tree Lane and Smile in a speed duel, and Groovy is third with less than 3 furlongs to run. Pine Tree Lane and Smile, and they are going at it, and they're stalked by Groovy as they come to the top of the stretch. And then it's 5 lengths to Bedside Promise now, who swings to the outside. Taylor Special there toward the inside as the field turns for home. An astonishing half. 43-3, and they're coming to the final furlong. Smile digs in. He's holding on to a short lead. Pine Tree Lane is right at his neck. Groovy is still third. A late run from Bedside Promise, and it's Smile. He's in front, and Smile is going to win it. And then it was Pine Tree Lane and Bedside Promise. Groovy, a disappointing fourth.
Smile, the 1985 runner-up, had seized the opportunity and won the 86 sprint for trainer Scotty Schulhofer and owner Francis Genter. In the 1986 mile, the marquee horse was Sonic Lady, who had been the dominant miler in England. She was in contention, but then the closers got to her.
Sonic Lady turns it on and takes the lead. Here comes Fred Astaire. Last Tycoon is charging through in between horses. Sonic Lady and Last Tycoon now. It's Last Tycoon who takes the lead as they come to the finish. And here comes Palace Music putting in a late run. Last Tycoon all out. Palace Music surging as they hit the wire. And Last Tycoon holds on.
Last Tycoon, a top sprinter in Europe, had stretched out successfully to a mile and paid $73.80 to win. The distaff was a coronation. The Iron Lady, Lady Secret, had been dominant. At odds of 1-2, she performed like a champion in the distaff.
She leads by 5 at the top of the stretch. Outstandingly second toward the inside is now set down for the drive. Franz Valentine on the outside third, and they're coming to the final furlong. Lady Secret in front by 4. Franz Valentine, outstandingly Classy Cathy, and here is a brilliant champion. Lady Secret, another flawless performance.
It was owner Gene Klein's proudest Breeders' Cup moment as his Iron Lady toyed with the opposition. The odds-on favorite in the turf was Dancing Brave, who had been touted as Europe's best horse in many years.
Dancing Brave poised for the stretch drive on the outside fourth. Darrara has dropped out of it as the field turns for home. Theatrical coming after Estropod. Theatrical and Estropod matching strides. Theatrical by ahead. Estropod Game coming back toward the inside. Manila is third, and Dancing Brave has been defeated, and they're coming to the wire, and it's Theatrical. Manila coming after him. Manila on the outside, and yes, Manila gets there in the final strides, and a jubilant Jose Santos.
Despite the fact that Jose Santos lost his whip in the stretch, Manila won the race and the Turf Championship. But Theatrical's Breeders' Cup Day was yet to come. There were virtual co-favorites in the Classic, as Turcoman, trained by Gary Jones, and the ever-present Precisionist had been the dominant older horses in the country. But victory would not be theirs on this day.
And they're off in the Breeders' Cup Classic. I-80s was away slowly. Skywalker comes away for the lead and toward the inside. It's Precisionist, and Herat is out fast. And they pass us the first time, well off the rail. It is Herat who now takes a short lead. Precisionist is close to him now, second on the inside. Skywalker third, and Hopeful Word is fourth. A gap of almost 6 back to Mogambo. And then another 4-length gap to Triptyque. Alpha Beta is in between horses. Turcoman is down on the rail. He's 12 lengths off the lead already. Nostalgia Star is wide going into the turn. Bold Arrangement is second to last, and after the slow start, I-80s trails the field. Around the first turn, the first quarter in 22 and 3/5 seconds, it's Herat in front. Precisionist tucked along the inside. Skywalker is in between horses. Hopeful Word in hand and 4 wide. They move to the back stretch now, and Precisionist is moving through on the inside after Herat. Skywalker is right there. Hopeful Word just off them, then a gap of 3 back to Mogambo. 7-length gap back to Alpha Beta. Another 7-length gap back to Nostalgia Star. Toward the inside, it is Triptyque and Turcoman. 15 lengths off the lead with the half-mile to run. 46 flat for the half-mile, 3/4 in 10 and 1. And the field moves into the far turn. Skywalker and Herat. Precisionist nowhere to go toward the inside. Hopeful Word is alongside him. Mogambo is moved within 3.5 lengths of the lead. Then farther back, Alpha Beta is there on the outside. Toward the inside, it is Nostalgia Star. And Turcoman now, he's put to the whip. but he's 10 lengths off the lead of Skywalker, who passes the quarter pole with Precisionist in close pursuit. And Turkoman is swinging 5 wide. He's picking them off one by one, and he's rolling now. But they have to catch Skywalker. He leads by 4 with the furlong to the wire. Precisionist is second. Turkoman closing third. Skywalker is still there. And then it is Precisionist. Turkoman with one late move, but it is too late. And Skywalker, an upset winner with Pinkai aboard to win the 3rd Breeders' Cup Classic.
It was a masterful ride by Lafitte Pinkai Jr. on Skywalker. With neither Precisionist nor Turkoman winning the Classic, it clinched Horse of the Year for Lady Secret. The following year, the Cup returned to the site of the inaugural, Hollywood Park. The arrangement of the races was changed as the day got off with a bang in the sprint. The favorite Groovy at 4-5.
They're in the gate. The flag is up, and they're off. Pine Tree Lane broke alertly and goes right to the front. Very Subtle is right there, and Groovy down on the inside, and Pine Tree Lane is in front. Groovy full tilt to stay with her early. Very Subtle to join them now on the outside, now running in 3rd position. Zany Tactics laying off the lead in 4th. High Bright driving hard in 5th position. Zabaleta is 6th down the rail, about 5 lengths off the lead. Exclusive Enough come away running in 7th position. And they zip the opening quarter in 21 1/5 seconds. Exclusive Enough is racing 7th on the outside. Zabaleta. Zany Tactics has faded now. Taylor Special is now about 9 lengths off the lead. On the line is next, then Sylvan Express. Then Fire the Back, Slyly Gifted, and the 2 Europeans, Governor General and Sharp Romance. And Very Subtle is a clear leader at the top of the stretch. Groovy is full out. The half in 44 seconds flat. Very Subtle coming to the final furlong now with a 3-length lead, and Groovy is laboring now to try to stay with. Very Subtle is in front and pouring it on now in front by 5. Exclusive Enough on the outside now running in 3rd. Zabaleta is 4th, and they're coming to the finish, and Very Subtle has crushed this field and has won it by 5, and Groovy a disappointing second here.
Nothing subtle about that performance, as the 3-year-old filly at 16-1 was never challenged by Groovy. There were 5 D. Wayne Lucas trained horses in the juvenile fillies, 4 of them coupled as the favored entry. But in the stretch, it seemed that the second choice, the Charlie Whittingham trained Jeannie Jones, would win the prize.
It's Jeannie Jones toward the inside. Overall is right there challenging for the lead. Valkyria right there to join him. And now, as the field comes to the quarter pole, Valkyria is the leader by a head toward the inside. Jeannie Jones and those 2 are full out at the top of the stretch. And Jeannie Jones in front and pulling away as they come into the final furlong. Overall desperate to stay with her. Classic Crown is putting in a late run on the extreme outside, and Pearly Gold and Dream Tame. And they're coming now inside the final furlong. Jeannie Jones, Shoemaker trying to get her home and toward the inside. Epitome is putting in a late run. A 16th to come. Jeannie Jones is staggering. Here comes Epitome on the outside with the final surge, and they hit the wire together. Jeannie Jones and Epitome was right at her neck as they hit the wire.
Epitome on the outside gained the nose victory over Whittingham's Jeannie Jones and the favored Lucas entry, making 28-year-old Phil Oswald the youngest trainer to win a Breeders' Cup race. But what had caused Jeannie Jones to suddenly lose her lead? Trainer Whittingham felt she may have been distracted by reflections of photographers' equipment inside the rail. Infinidad, a Chilean import from Whittingham's barn, was a major force on the West Coast and was sent off at odds-on in the distaff.
It's Sacoista still moving easily on the lead. Ooey Baby and Clever Girl now trying to catch her. Sacoista with something left for the final 3 furlongs, still clear by 2.5. Clever Girl is racing second. Ooey Baby is third. Ms. Margie is roused now. Infinidad will put her run in on the rail, and here she comes, a 1/4 mile out. Sacoista set down for the drive. She leads by 2.5 lengths as they come to the final furlong. Clever Girl attacks on the outside. Second, Infinidad still 6 lengths back. They're in the final furlong. Randy Romero putting the up to Sacoista, trying to hold on with her. Clever Girl can't get to her. They're running out of ground, and it's going to be Sacoista wire to wire. Clever Girl is second, and farther back it's a photo for show.
Ooey Baby finished third, but Lucas fillies ran 1-2, which was becoming something of a pattern in the Breeders' Cup. Sonic Lady was once again favored in the 87 mile. Her rival from France, Miesque, was the second choice, and she proved to be the real deal.
Show Dancer trying to take it wire to wire. Temperate still sticking with them on the outside. Short sleeves driving hard, asks for more run. And Miesque will need racing room for the drive. Then farther back, Sonic Lady, only 4 lengths off the lead as the field turns for home in the Breeders' Cup Mile. And it is Show Dancer bearing out. The rail opens up for Miesque, and Freddie Head sends Miesque right on through. Here comes Miesque now to take a short lead. Show Dancer is right there on the outside, and Sonic Lady putting in her run toward the rail, but it is Miesque, and Miesque is going to win it.
Miesque gave France's legendary trainer, Francois Boutin, his first Breeders' Cup winner, establishing herself as the leading miler in the world. It was a wide-open contest in the juvenile with 6 horses less than 10 to 1. Once again, a speed horse got the money.
And it's still Success Express with a clear lead. They haven't gotten to him yet. Tejano is now running in second. Flying Victor on the outside. Czar Baby. And now Contempt is kicking in. And on the outside, Parlay Me has found his best stride. Fiery Ensign has dropped out of it. On the rail, the Canadian Colt. Regal Classic is coming on. But they still have to catch Success Express. Jose Santos all over him, trying to get him home. And they're a furlong from the wire. Success Express still there by 4. Regal Classic with one final surge as they come to the wire. Success Express trying to hold on for another 100 yards. And yes, he has done it.
The only unusual aspect of the win was that a Lucas horse owned by Gene Klein was set off at a generous 4 to 1. It was the greatest moment in the career of Success Express. The 87 Turf provided a fantastic matchup as Arc de Triomphe winner Trempolino would face Theatrical, who was second in this race the previous year and was the most successful American turf horse of the season.
And Theatrical has power to the front now as the field turns for home. The Arc winner taking aim on the outside. Trempolino set down for the drive. Trempolino taking the lead, a furlong from the wire, but Theatrical has game and he's coming right back. The American, the European, and it is Theatrical in front. Trempolino driving hard, full out and determined to get him. And here is the wire, and Theatrical has won it. Absolutely spectacular.
Both horses proved to be worthy champions as Pat Day picked up his second win of the afternoon. For the first time ever in the Breeders' Cup, 2 Kentucky Derby winners met on the racetrack in the 1987 Classic. The 86 Derby winner Ferdinand against number 9 Ali Sheba, winner of the 1987 Derby. Ferdinand, trained by Charlie Whittingham, ridden by Bill Shoemaker. Ali Sheba from the barn of Jack Van Berg with Chris McCarron. Ferdinand expected to be close to the early pace, with Ali Sheba to come from far back.
And they're off. And Ferdinand is out there early toward the inside. Candy's Gold is sent, and Judge Angelucci. And they pass us for the first time, and it is Judge Angelucci now who's out to take the lead. But Candy's Gold is sticking right with them early. Corey Black trying to nurse that speed with him on the inside. Skywalker is up close early. He's a Sorrows 4 wide. A Fleet is 3 wide. And toward the inside, it's Good Command. A gap of 4. And Ferdinand is settled into 7th position, and Gulch is alongside him. Ali Sheba is now running in 8th. He's about 9 lengths off the lead as they head for the backstretch. Bold Arrangement trying to take hold of this track. Crypto Clearance has 1 horse beaten, and that is Nostalgia Star, who is content to trail at this time as they move off the backstretch. Judge Angelucci and Candy's Gold moving together on the lead. The opening quarter went in 23 flat, 46 and 2 for the half. Those 2 are still going at it. Good Command kept close to them toward the inside. He's a Sorrows running 3rd, and Ferdinand now has asked for more run. He'll need racing room though. He's on the inside 5th. Skywalker is alongside him, and now Ali Sheba begins to roll from the back of the pack, and the Fleet has dropped back. There's a half mile to run in this Breeders' Cup Classic, and it is Candy's Gold toward the inside, Judge Angelucci, and Ferdinand to pick him up now on the outside 3rd. Good Command is putting in his run toward the rail. Skywalker is still in it. He's only 3 lengths off the lead, and Ali Sheba continues to pick him up on the outside with a dramatic run toward the leaders. They are at the quarter pole. Here it
It was the only Breeders' Cup win for 56-year-old Bill Shoemaker. He became the oldest jockey to win a Breeders' Cup race at the same time that 74-year-old Charlie Whittingham became the oldest trainer. And for the third time in 4 years, Jack Van Berg lost the Classic by a neck or less. Off the victory, Ferdinand was crowned Horse of the Year.
In 1988, the Breeders' Cup came to Churchill Downs for the first time, and a day of high drama unfolded beneath the Twin Spires. In fact, two of the races that day, the Distaff and the Classic, would prove to be two of the best events anyone had ever seen.
On a muddy track in the sprint, jockey Angel Cordero Jr. showed the skills that made him a Hall of Famer.
And we're ready for the start of the first Breeders' Cup in Kentucky, and they're off. Gulch broke alertly on the outside. Calistoga is away quickly. Mining was also away well, and toward the inside, it's Very Subtle and Olympic Prospect. Olympic Prospect and Very Subtle. And those two will fight it out early, and Mining is right there and fighting early in third. Precisionist is hustled up on the inside, fourth. Calistoga fifth on the outside. Roman is up close. He's just 5 lengths off the lead. Play the King is now running seventh on the outside. And then it's Gulch now racing in 8th position. Then farther back, Ready Jetco is now 9th toward the rail. High Bright is racing in 10th. A Fleet, the Canadian, is 11th. Then on the extreme outside, it's Sylvan Express, and Mossif now is launching his bid from the back of the pack. The quarter was a quick one, 21 seconds flat, and it is Olympic Prospect now who comes to the top of the stretch with the lead by a length. Last year's winner, Very Subtle, now running at him from the inside. Precisionist is right there, racing in 3rd position, and in between horses, Gulch is right there, 4th. On the outside, Play the King now, and they're down to the final furlong. Very Subtle has now taken the lead. On the outside, Play the King is charging hard. Gulch is right there. Gulch emerging with the lead. Play the King. It's Gulch. Play the King. Here's the wire, and Gulch has won it.
Gulch, in his 3rd Breeders' Cup race, had finally tasted victory. Another win for Wayne Lucas, but the star of that race was Cordero. A 5-horse entry at 3 to 5 is usually a good bet to win. And when those 5 horses are 2-year-old fillies from the barn of Lucas, some owned by Gene Klein, the other horses might as well put up the white flag of surrender.
Some Romance now is sent through an opening toward the inside. C. Quay is now set for the drive and darts to the inside. On the far outside, Seattle Meteor closing in. Leo Lucinda is also right there. Open Mind is moving through. Approved to Fly is also right there. And a Firm Classic. It is wide open. Anyone's race. Derby Shuffle moving into contention. Approved to Fly is there. Some Romance. Open Mind flying on the outside. Derby Shuffle. Open Mind now emerging with the lead. Derby Shuffle. Open Mind wins it going away.
The win, place, and show positions went to Lucas horses, with Gene Klein's Open Mind coming away with the trophy. In the Distaff, trainer Shug McGahee's Personal Ensign, the winner of all 12 lifetime starts, sought to close out her career as the first major undefeated horse in 80 years. But Wayne Lucas liked his chances with Kentucky Derby champion Winning Colors, controlling the pace all the way around a muddy racetrack. It would provide one of those matchups that makes this sport so memorable.
There is a Derby winner in the field in Winning Colors, who seeks to stop her streak at 12. And they're off in the Distaff. Goodbye Halo broke well in Winning Colors now, and she's going to run right on the lead early. Well, On the Move has come out running in 3rd, and she's taken in hand. Integra now has been gathered back in 4th position as they head for the first turn. Personal Ensign was away in good order now. She'll be floated a bit wide going into the turn by Sham Say. Epitome is saving ground all the way on the inside. And then Classic Crown is 1 horse beaten, and that is Hail the Cab as they round the first turn. And the Derby winner is Loose on the lead. It's Winning Colors now, and she's opened up by 4.5 lengths. Goodbye Halo is 2nd, and Vasquez asking Sham Say for run now 3rd toward the inside. Willa On the Move is racing in 4th. Integra is 5th on the outside. Personal Ensign, the undefeated filly, is now 9 lengths off the lead as they continue up the backstretch. It's still Winning Colors, loose on the lead by 2.5. Shamsay is running second. On the outside, Goodbye Halo in striking position is third. Willa on the move is Ask for More run fourth. Personal Ensign is still 8 lengths out of it. There's a half mile to run, and Winning Colors doing what she did in the Derby. She's still free running on the lead. 3 furlongs to run, and she leads now by 3. Goodbye Halo beginning to pick it up in second now. Shamsay is third toward the rail. Personal Ensign is putting her run in on the inside now, and she takes to the outside. 5 lengths off the lead of Winning Colors, who turns for home here at Churchill Downs. Stevens going to a vigorous left-handed whip, holding on by 2. Goodbye Halo is charging hard. Here comes Personal Ensign, unleashing a furious run on the outside, but it is still Winning Colors. Goodbye Halo. Personal Ensign a 16th of a mile from the wire. Winning Colors is there. Personal Ensign, a dramatic finish, and here is the wire, and it is Personal Ensign there with Winning Colors in a photo. Very close. At the 16th pole, it looked like Personal Ensign was facing her first defeat, but in those final 110 courageous yards, she certainly proved herself a champion this afternoon.
It was a victory on a racetrack that was not to her liking, a victory on fortitude alone, a victory that marked her as one of the greatest fillies of all time, undefeated, a winner under any circumstances. Winning Colors appears to be home free, feeling the whip left-handed, but out in the center of the racetrack, here comes Personal Ensign. With less than a 16th to go, it looks like Winning Colors has the race won. But Personal Ensign is relentless. As she drives to the finish, it will be Personal Ensign in the last strides, getting up to remain undefeated. Ruff Scott talked with winning trainer Shug McGahee.
Shug McGahee, many congratulations, Shug. What a filly.
Thank you. It was a great race. I thought she was hopeless to beat the 3/8 pole. It shows what a good filly she is to be able to overcome it and win.
A great moment for rider Randy Romero and Personal Ensign. Miesk, seeking to become the first back-to-back winner of a Breeders' Cup race, was not favored in the 88 mile. That role went to Warning from England.
And Miesk is now moved within 4.5 lengths of the lead. It's a gap of 6 lengths to Ravenella and Warning, who's just beginning to get underway. They're coming to the top of the stretch now. Niccolo Polo on the outside. Simply Majestic toward the rail. Those two are head-to-head. And here comes the French filly, Miesk, charging hard on the outside. Steinlen is now fourth, and now they're down to the final furlong. Miesk is charging hard to take the lead now. She's looking for back-to-back wins in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and she's leading by 3 and pouring it on, pulling away impressively here. Miesk has won it.
There was no question Miesk, in all her elegance, had shown the world she had no equal. Going into the juvenile, Easy Goer was the whole story. He had been so dominant over his fellow 2-year-olds that it was inconceivable that another rival could mount a challenge. But no one knew how Easy Goer would handle the muddy track at Churchill Downs.
And Easy Goer now continues to gain for the back of the pack. 6 lengths off the lead as the field turns for home. Teagle is floated outside him. They're set down for the drive. Is it true? Full out now to hold off Music Mare C. And Easy Goer looms boldly now, a threatening presence on the outside. They're in the final furlong. Is it true? Pink Eye all over him. Easy Goer closing on the outside, a 16th from home. Is it true? Trying to hold on. Easy Goer can't get to him. It is. Is it true? Who goes on to win it by a length?
Was it true? It sure was. At odds of 3 to 10, Easy Goer had lost on the muddy surface. And in victory, Is It True made Dwayne Lucas, greeted here by his son and assistant Jeff, the first trainer ever to win 3 Breeders' Cup races in one day. In the turf, the British filly Indian Skimmer and the American Sunshine Forever were the favorites, but they met a game gelding who wouldn't give up.
Great communicator now. Asperani's there by 3/4 of a length. Sunshine Forever, a powerful presence. He's right at his neck. And there he goes. Sunshine Forever now on the outside. Great commuter fighting back. And the filly kicks in. Triptych is moving right with her. Indian Skipper with a 4-wide sweep now as they come to the quarter pole. Triptych now. Indian Skimmer on the outside. Those two set down for the drive. Sunshine Forever, and he Communicator, the four of them across the track in a dramatic confrontation. Great Communicator, Indian Skimmer, Sunshine Forever, roaring back in between them. Great Communicator, unyielding, Sunshine Forever, determined. Great Communicator will not be denied.
After setting slow early fractions, Great Communicator had enough left to hold off Sunshine Forever and Indian Skimmer. A great deal was riding on Ali Sheba's race in the Classic. After Personal Ensign's win in the distaff, only a victory would guarantee him the Horse of the Year title. He had a chance to overtake John Henry and become racing's all-time leading money winner, and could also end the Classic jinx of Jack Van Berg, who had narrowly lost the race 3 times. But he faced a talented field. In Near Darkness, what has become known as the Midnight Classic produced outstanding drama.
Now time for the jewel in the crown, the $3 million Breeders' Cup Classic, and they're off. Slew City Slew breaks alertly, and 49er is moving right with him. Walk White is out for the early lead now, and Cutlass Reality on the outside. Ali Sheba's come out 5th. And as they pass beneath the Twin Spires for the first time, it's the gray New Englander, Walk White, with a short lead. Slew City Slew is running right with them early. They're moving at a lively pace now. They've opened up 5 lengths on Cutlass Reality 3rd. Ali Sheba is off the rail racing 4th. Then farther back, 49er has been taken back in 5th position. And the 2 Phipps color bearers are running together, seeking the gold and personal flag. Then a gap of 4 lengths back to Crypto Clearance, who's allowed to settle in an early gallop. And Lively One trails the Classic field as they make their way into the backstretch. Walk White pressed all the way by Slew City Slew. Those two continue as a speed duel continues on down the backstretch. Cutlass Reality is 5 lengths off them in 3rd. It's another 4 to Ali Sheba now, who is 8 lengths off the lead. And just to his inside, 49er now. Julie Crone asking him for run. A half mile out, and now the field moving for the far turn. It is Walk White now beginning to shake loose from Slew City Slew. Cutlass Reality is moving in closer 3rd. Ali Sheba begins to roll now. He's making his move as they round the far turn. And then Personal Flag and Seeking the Gold are both moving together now as they come to the top of the stretch. Crypto Clearance is kicking in now, and he's moving into contention. He's just 5 lengths off the lead. Then it's Lively One. 49er is now the trailer as the field comes to the top of the stretch. It is Cutlass Reality and Walk White. Ali Sheba set down for the drive. Personal Flag is moving through an opening toward the rail. Seeking the Gold on the outside. They're coming to the final furlong. Walk White is tenacious. Ali Sheba is right there. And on the outside, Seeking the Gold. Ali Sheba with a short lead. He's unyielding. Seeking the Gold. A final move as they come to the wire. And Ali Sheba, America's horse, has done it.
America's Horse. It was a title richly deserved. Ali Sheba was running on a muddy surface that he clearly didn't like, but he got the job done. He was the leading money winner. He had won a Breeders' Cup Classic for Jack Van Berg, and he did it in the dramatic setting of Near Darkness on racing's greatest day under the Twin Spires of Churchill Downs. Next, the Breeders' Cup made its first trip to South Florida, where the warm breezes of the Atlantic were conducive to hot action on the track. In the sprint, Sam Hu carried the hopes of the West Coast. He was a winner of 5 in a row earlier in the year, who had shown a return to form in October. But the early lead was likely to be contested by the 3-year-old filly Safely Kept, facing males for the first time.
Safely Kept comes out running. Olympic Prospect was off a step slow, but here he comes with a good turn of early speed. Fluorescent Gem is right there 3rd, and Safely Kept makes the early lead, and she has outrun the quick Olympic Prospect. Now is back racing in 2nd. Fluorescent Gem is 3rd. Sam Hu has come out running 4th. He's about 6 lengths off the lead. And then it's Mr. Nickerson now racing in 7th. Dispersal is 8th. Once Wild is making his way through toward the inside. Dancing Spree is now racing in 9th position. Then the Canadian colt Regal Intention. Sewickley is now about 12 lengths off the lead. And then farther back, it's Black Tie Affair on the line, has dropped out of it now completely. And the late running Carborundum is 20 lengths off the lead. 21-4 for the opening quarter. A brazen display of speed here, and Safely Kept now has turned back an early challenge of Olympic Prospect, and the filly turns for home in front. Olympic Prospect with another run at her on the outside. Sam, who is closing, and here comes Dispersal with his run now. Dancing Spree is charging from on the inside, and it's Safely Kept. She's almost home, leading by 2.5. A host of others with a strong charge. Here's Dancing Spree. Here's the wire. Dancing Spree nails it in the final strides.
The hot pace had set things up for a closer, and Dancing Spree and Safely Kept were in a photo finish. As the hole opened up along the rail, the daring Angel Cordero seized the opportunity and put Dancing Spree through. Dancing Spree, who won the 1.25 mile Suburban Handicap on July 4th, had won the 6-furlong Breeders' Cup Sprint. In the juvenile fillies, Stella Madrid, number 5, was favored over number 4, Go For Wand, having beaten her rival by a half length in their only meeting.
And Dance Colony is charging on the outside as they come to the top of the stretch. And here comes Stella Madrid, forging to the front on the outside. Set down for the drive, and Stella Madrid takes the lead. Special happening, a leg weary second. Go For Wand attacks on the outside. Here comes Go For Wand, and collars Stella Madrid with the 16th to come. And she's going to win it, and she's going to win it. Going away. Go For Wand comes bounding home to a 3-length win. And Sweet Roberta was up for second, and farther back Stella Madrid was third.
Around 2 turns, Go For Wand was clearly the best. The charismatic performance stamped her as American racing's next sweetheart filly. 6 Grade 1 victories on the year made Argentine import Bayacoa an odds-on choice in the distaff.
From the back of the pack, Open Mind is gathering momentum, but she is 7 lengths off the lead of Bayacoa, who comes for home now, entering the final furlong. And Gorgeous with a bold late run toward the rail. Bayacoa is put to a fierce drive, trying to hold on by 2. Gorgeous trying to catch her, running out of ground. Bayacoa is got it. Bayacoa wins by 2 lengths. And then it was Gorgeous second. Open Mind was closing fast, but she wound up third.
Never seriously challenged, Bayacoa, trained by Ron McAnally, was in a class beyond her competition. No horse in England could beat him, but Gulfstream's heat would prove the undoing of Zilzal. His top challenger would be Steinlen, bred in England, owned by France's Daniel Wildenstein, and trained in America by D. Wayne Lucas.
Cordero goes to the whip. Simply Majestic comes roaring off the turn with the lead by 1.5 lengths. Highland Springs attacks on the outside. Quick call. Steinlen's in tight. He's looking for racing room toward the inside. Sabona's coming hard. Zilzal unleashing a furious run on the outside. Steinlen, a daring move on the hedge, gets the lead. Sabona, one last lunge. Steinlen gets it in the final strides.
It was a rough trip, but Steinlen, under the handling of Jose Santos, gets through along the hedge to get the job done. Wayne Lucas, known for success with young horses on the dirt, had won a big race on the grass with a 6-year-old. But it didn't come easily. Here, finally, Santos finds room along the inside, applies the whip right-handed, and then hand-rides Steinlen to the finish. Zilzal left his race in the paddock. No longer undefeated, he finished 6th. Breeders' Futurity winner Slavic was a slight choice in the juvenile over the 5th stable entry of Adjudicating and Rhythm.
Balakove has run the opening quarter in 23 2/5 seconds, a demanding half in 46 4. Go and Go, the Irish colt, and now the Europeans are 1-2, but there goes Rhythm now, and he's sent through a narrow opening toward the inside, entering the far turn, and Rhythm driven through an opening toward the rail, now to take the lead. Balakove is trying to stay with them. Robin Dancer is coming on the far outside. Grand Canyon, and Chris McCarron's confident with him, and here he comes now with his run for the lead. Go and Go is now giving it up. He's dropping back and forth. And now Jose Santos turns Slavic loose, but he's 5 lengths off the lead as they turn for home. Rhythm is set down for the drive. Full out now to hold off the oncoming Grand Canyon. A
rhythm turned out to be the stronger half of the entry in this contest. The turf was wide open with American entrant El Senor a slight favorite at 3-1.
3/4 and 13 and 2. A half mile to run on the turf. Il de Chypre is still there. Caltech is now roused, and Rene Douglas asking him for run now. Green Barb is third. Price is full out. He's dropping back and forth. Scenic has nowhere to go in between horses. Sierra Roberto and Starlift is kicking in on the outside. Lady in Silver toward the rail. Melicius is picking up momentum. El Senor is still 9 lengths off the lead, and he's beginning to move from the back of the pack. And Caltech forges to the front as they turn for home. Il de Chypre is put to a full-out drive to try to stay with them. Prize down the outside is now third. Sierra Roberta is coming with her run now, and here she comes. Caltech desperately holding on. Prize is surging. Sierra Roberta toward the inside. Bahira late run, a driving finish in the turf, and here's the wire, and it is Prize. A desperate nose, very close. Sierra Roberta was right there.
In his first career start on grass, the 3-year-old Prized was strongest in the stretch. He had lost to Easy Goer by more than 20 lengths in his previous start, the Jockey Club Gold Cup. Trainer Neil Drysdale, perhaps steering away from the tough field in the Classic, felt that he would be revitalized on the turf. It was a gamble that paid off in a $2 million race. 2 horses from France, Sierra Roberta and Starlift, picked up the 2nd and 3rd spots. But Prized was the winner of the Breeders' Cup Turf. Like prize fighters entering a ring, they came to the paddock. First, the Easterner, Easy Goer. Then the pride of the West Coast, Sunday Silence. They had met 3 times, with Sunday Silence winning the Derby and Preakness and Easy Goer taking the Belmont. Both riders were masters of strategy. Pat Day on Easy Goer and Chris McCarron on Sunday Silence. The training matchup, McGahee managed Easy Goer and the Bald Eagle guided the California horse. Easy Goer was the favorite at odds of 1-2. And his rival Sunday Silence, second choice in the wagering, he was 2-1. The tension in both camps was visible, with $3 million, Horse of the Year, and the 3-year-old title on the line.
They're standing in line, and they're off. Sunday Silence breaks alertly. Easy Goer was off a step slow toward the inside. Slew City Slew, Blushing John, and Present Value. And they're passing us now for the first time. Slew City Slew is out to take the early lead now, and he's opened up a quick lead here of 2.5 lengths. Blushing John is second down the outside. Present Value is third. Sunday Silence is rating in 4th position. He's 6 lengths off the lead. Me Selecto is 7th. 4 lengths back to Easy Goer. He is 10 lengths off the lead of Slew City Slew as they move into the first turn, and the trailers are Crypto Clearance and Western Playboy. Slew City Slew, and he zipped the opening quarter in 22 2/5 seconds. A brazen display of early speed in this 1.25-mile classic. Blushing John is tracking him as they make their way onto the backstretch now. Sunday Silence poised on the outside third. Present Value to his inside. Then Me Selecto. Easy Goer is yet to do his best running. He is still 9 lengths off the lead of Slew City Slew. He's 5 lengths behind Sunday Silence, and now he's beginning to roll. They've run a half mile in 46 1/5 seconds. Slew City Slew weakening on the lead. Blushing John has been tracking him all the way. Sunday Silence bracing for the oncoming power of Easy Goer, who's right at his neck, and the stage is set with 3 furlongs to run in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Blushing John taking the lead 3/8 of a mile out. It's Blushing John in front. Sunday Silence on the outside, gearing up now. He's left Easy Goer 2.5 lengths behind. They're coming to the top of the stretch, and Blushing John is under a hand ride. He leads by 1.5 lengths. Sunday Silence, a threatening presence on the outside. Easy Goer is set down, and he's put to a fierce drive. Coming to the final furlong, Sunday Silence surges to the front. Blushing John trying to fight back. Easy Goer with one final acceleration, and Sunday Silence holds on, and he wins by a desperate neck. Easy Goer was
Sunday Silence in a racing epic.
Now, Easy Goer #1 moves outside Sunday Silence, and I thought from here on the two would probably be within a length of each other the rest of the way in the race. But Sunday Silence will have the most acceleration here, and you see him begin to pull away from Easy Goer and set sail for the leaders. Blushing John has taken the lead, and Sunday Silence now passes the tiring Slough City Slough as they come to the top of the stretch. You just saw Angel Cordero look behind him to see if anything was coming, and yes, indeed, Sunday Silence is. Now into the lane, Blushing John under the whip on the inside. Sunday Silence on the outside, and Easy Goer surprisingly has a lot to make up. Sunday Silence now has the lead. McCarron cocks his whip. He sneaks a peek under his arm. There, he looked at Easy Goer. He knows Easy Goer is gaining, but he's got enough horse to last.
The tactical speed of Sunday Silence proved the difference again. The championships were his, and followers of Easy Goer were left to wonder about what might have been. The Breeders' Cup returned to the Big Apple, New York in 1990. To the majestic and historic mile-and-a-half oval of Belmont Park. Safely Kept, second the year before, had won 7 of 9 in 1990. But she would face De Jour with a reputation as the best European sprinter in years. The big question was how he would handle his first career start on dirt.
And Safely Kept goes right to the lead. The filly champion quickly opens up here by 2 lengths. And on the far outside, De Jour is right there, and Glitterman is also mixing it up. De Jour mixing it up now with his American rivals. Carson City is up close to the pace. He's running along in 4th position. Potentiality is 5th. Dargai is now racing in 6th position. Mr. Nickerson has fallen. We have a spill on the turn. Shaker Knit went down, and Mr. Nickerson also down on the track. Spill on the far turn, and now the field moving toward the top of the stretch. It's De Jour fighting it out with last year's champion, Safely Kept. The English champion now has taken a short lead as they come to the top of the stretch. Safely Kept is right there in behind them. Glitterman is now running along in 3rd. Black Tie Affair sweeps to the outside. Then Prospectors Gamble and Carson City. They hooked up at the start. They're still going at it. Safely Kept on the inside. Brave down to the final furlong. On the outside, De Jour, and neither giving way. A dramatic confrontation here as they come down to the final 16th. And it is De Jour who forges to the front. Safely Kept coming back at him, and De Jour took a bad step 10 feet from the wire, and Safely Kept comes on to snatch the victory in the final stride.
They were clearly the 2 best sprinters in the world, but victory had gone to the American filly. It seemed like De Jour had the race in hand when in the final strides he jumped shadows and lost his action. He could match up with the Americans on their surface, but Safely Kept, who had just missed winning the race the year before, had captured the prize. Mr. Nickerson had fallen early in the race, the victim of an apparent heart attack. Shaker Knit then fell over the downed horse and could not be saved. In the juvenile fillies, an air of invincibility surrounded Meadow Star. 6 for 6 lifetimes, she had won her previous start on the Belmont track by 14 lengths.
And it is Dance Smartly who has a short lead. Light is right there fighting it out. Meadow Star now a threatening presence on the outside. 4th, and here comes Meadow Star, and Santos turns her loose as they come to the top of the stretch. Private Treasure is just in behind the lead, and the field turns for home with Meadow Star taking command. Dance Smartly is trying to stay with her, but Meadow Star too much now and draws away here as they come down to the final furlong. Dance Smartly on the inside 2nd. Private Treasure is putting in a late run 3rd. In the final furlong, it is still Meadow Star leading the way by 4, pouring it on now by 5, and leaving the others behind in the wake of her brilliance. A perfect season for Meadow Star. She wins by 4.5 lengths. Private Treasure was 2nd. Dance Smartly holds on for 3rd.
It was no contest. Meadow Star became the shortest priced winner in Breeders' Cup history, paying $240 to win. A champion in '89, the charismatic Gopher Wand was brilliant at 3. But today she would face champion Bayakoa. It had the makings of a great Breeders' Cup distaff.
We're ready for a start of the 7th Breeders' Cup distaff, and they're off. And it's a perfect start with Valet Maid going for the lead. Mistorian is there, Colonial Waters, Bayakoa away in good order, and Go for One just to her inside. They begin their long run down the Belmont backstretch, and Bayakoa is eager for the lead. Lafitte Pinkai trying to throttle her speed, and Go for One is going to run with her, so the battle is joined early. Mistorian just off them. Then the long striding Colonial Waters is settled nicely in behind the pacemakers in fourth. Valet Maid is fifth by 4. Then flags waving, and the bright Roan Luthier's launch down the backstretch, and Go for One now has taken the lead. Bayakoa right there just off her flank, and those two now lead the way as they move toward the half-mile pole, with Colonial Waters trying to stay with them in third. The quarter went in 23 and 2/5 seconds. They've run a half in 46 and 2. A chess game down the backstretch. Randy Romero moves with Go for One. Pinkai counters with Bayakoa, and those two, the tempo quickening now, and a clash of champions midway round the far turn here at Belmont Park. They pulled away from 3. Colonial Waters is racing in third position, and Mistorian is fourth. They hooked up at the start. They're in a cutthroat duel. Go for One holding on to a short lead. Bayakoa is right at her throat, and they have dueled through 3/4 of a mile in 1:10 and 2. Bayakoa on the outside, a short lead. Go for One is unwavering toward the rail. Those two stride for stride. Go for One on the inside. Bayakoa battling back, a dramatic distaff.
But at this point, tragedy struck as Go for One fell, and an elegant champion was lost. A great race became tragic in its final furlong, and a terrible sadness fell over Belmont Park. Jockey Randy Romero was not seriously injured and was able to ride later that afternoon. There was no joy for Bayakoa's game victory in the distaff. Legends can provide uplifting moments. Hope was in the saddle with Lester Piggott, who returned at age 54 to ride the favorite Royal Academy in the mile.
And it's expensive decision now. Who shakes loose from Shotgun Scott? Go Dutch. It's All Greek to Me is now coming with his sharp rally on the outside. Steinlen has now faded to fifth. On the outside, Mark of Distinction has clear running now, and here comes Mark of Distinction with his run for the lead. Lady Winner is in behind a phalanx of horses with nowhere to go. Royal Academy and Lester Piggott are 6 lengths off the lead, but they're launching their rally now as they come down to the final furlong. It's All Greek to Me has a short lead. Expensive decision battling back. Mark of Distinction. Royal Academy is thundering down the center of the turf course, and Steinlen is fifth. They're coming down to the finish. Lester Piggott flailing away at Royal Academy. It's All Greek to Me toward the inside. Here's the wire. Head bobbing finish. Royal Academy does it.
Riding for his old partner, trainer Vincent O'Brien, Piggott performed like the Piggott of old. Here he is on the outside with that distinctive riding style. And he has dead aim on the horses in front of him. He has the race perfectly measured. Lester Piggott riding like the Piggott we have seen for decades, just getting Royal Academy to the line ahead of its All Greek to Me to win by a head-bobbing nose. It was a total effort, but Piggott was champion once again. The juvenile was a match between the 2-year-old leaders. From the east, Fly So Free, ridden by Jose Santos. From the west, Best Pal under Pat Valenzuela.
Fly So Free now with a short lead. Take Me Out is right there. Fire and Ice has dropped back. Best Pal is poised for the stretch drive on the outside. Happy Jazz Band and Time Gentleman Lost Mountain on the far outside. Fire and Ice has dropped out of it completely. They're coming down to the final furlong, and it is Fly So Free. Take Me Out runs at him from the inside. Happy Jazz Band angles out. Best Pal is fourth. They're coming down to the final 16th, and it is Fly So Free who has the lead, in a big day for Jose Santos as he scores here with Fly So Free widening his lead with every stride. And the pat on the flank for Fly So Free, richly deserved. And Scotty Schohofer having a super year, and he has a great 2-year-old in Fly So Free.
On his home track, Fly So Free proved best. French Star In the Wings, trained by Andre Fabre and ridden by American Gary Stevens, was favored in the 1.5-mile turf.
They're
coming to the top of the stretch with approval, wresting the lead from Cacahuetes. In the wings is right there. Alwahush is fourth. El Senor swings wide for the stretch drive. Somares is 6 lengths out of it. And French Glory, they're coming to the final furlong. And with approval, an all-out drive. And the oncoming in the wings surges. El Senor is closing late, 50 yards from the wire. In the wings, forges to the lead. With approval, cannot stay with. In the wings, and Gary Stevens, a flawless ride to win it. With approval was second. El Senor is third.
A gallant effort by Canadian Horse of the Year with approval, but In the Wings got the win. The huge oval at Belmont causes 1 1/4 dirt races to be started on a turn. The view from the inside gate is quite different from the outside position, which went to Derby winner Unbridled, here entering that outside stall in the field of 14.
Freeze alone. Standing in order, in line. And they're off. Isvestia breaks alertly, and 36 Red is sent immediately toward the lead. Home at Last is up close fast. Boat Genius is with a sharp early move. Ibn Bay is up there mixing it up early. On the far outside, Dispersal is caught 4 wide round the first turn. And then down inside, it's Opening Verse on the outside. The Belmont winner, Go and Go. He's only 5 lengths off the early lead. Then Me Selecto, Flying Continental. Rhythm will do his running from well off the pace. He's already 11 lengths out of it. Then it's Unbridled, and DeRoche has 1 horse beaten, and that is Long Shot Lively One. As they continue down the back stretch here at Belmont Park, Boat Genius battles his way out to a short lead. Dispersal's right there with him, and toward the inside, 36th Red, a 3-ply battle for the lead. Ibn Bay is up close. Home at Last is right there on the outside. The Canadian Grey is Vestia toward the inside. Opening Verse is moving through in between horses. He's just 6 lengths off the lead. Then Go and Go and Me Selecto. Rhythm, the favorite, is still a dozen lengths out of it. And the pace is a demanding one. They've run a half mile in 45 4/5 seconds. And 36 Red has fought his way now to the lead. It's 36 Red in front. Bo Genius trying to stay with him. Dispersal has dropped out of it. Ibn Bay is right there third. Home at Last is fourth. Opening Verse is gathering momentum on the outside, and here he comes now. Me Selecto, and Rhythm moves into contention. He's just 4 lengths off the lead. Then Lively One and DeRoche, and it is anyone's race now as they turn for home in the 7th Breeders' Cup Classic. 36 Red has fought his way to the lead. He's got a short lead as Vestia is coming hard. Opening Verse is there on the outside. Ibn Bay is still in with a chance. Unbridled, the Derby winner, is coming through an opening, and DeRoche is coming with a menacing rush. They're in the final furlong. 36 Red is all out. Ibn Bay is right there. Unbridled is in tight in between horses. Here comes the Derby winner. Unbridled fights his way to the front and wins the 7th Breeders' Cup Classic.
In a trademark Pat Day performance, he used the only possible strategy from an outside post. Coming from next to last, he worked Unbridled through the pack, first on the inside, then between horses, moving him into contention to overtake the surprising European Ibn Bay. Without a win in a graded stake since the Kentucky Derby, Unbridled was almost forgotten by the bettors at 6-1. It was a moment of redemption for Unbridled, Pat Day, and a brilliant training job by Carl Nasker. A glimpse of triumph on a heart-rending day at Belmont Park. The performances of Personal Ensign and Ali Sheba 3 years previously provided an air of anticipation when the Breeders' Cup returned to Churchill Downs in 1991. Anticipation was also tied to the performance of Housebuster, America's dominant sprinter. He was sent off at 2-5.
And they're off. Housebuster comes off a beat slow, and Media Plan now on the outside rushes up to get the lead. Housebuster on the attack on the inside now, and he's racing second after a bit of a flat-footed start. And then it's Deposit Ticket in between horses. The California Gray Robin Dancer toward the inside. The Canadian Key Spirit is on the outside, running along in fifth. Sheik Albadou, the European runner, is now about 7 lengths from the lead. Clever Trevor is now racing in 8th position. And then it's Polish numbers, followed by Take Me Out farther back. Senior Speedy. Pleasant Tap trails the field. And the first quarter, and they zipped it in 21 seconds flat, and they're all chasing Media Plan. Housebuster is chasing him second now. Housebuster now makes his move as they come to the top of the stretch. And here comes Robin Dancer, and he's gearing up too. Sheik Albadou is 4th on the outside, and Housebuster rolls as they turn into the stretch. And Media Plan down on the inside. Housebuster with a bold challenge. Media Plan on the inside second. Here comes the English sprinter, Sheik Albadou, and he runs by our champion. Robin Dancer moves into second. Housebuster has been defeated today. And here is Sheik Albadou, and he's running away from the best American sprinters, and he wins by 5. And Pleasant Tap gets up for second. It's close for third. It is a shocker in the sprint.
Housebuster fell out of contention, having injured himself leaving the gate, as England's Sheik Albadou gave Europe its first Breeders' Cup winner on the dirt. The long stretch of Churchill Downs has always provided a chance for closers, and it provided quite a stage for a 2-year-old filly.
At the top of the stretch, Cadillac Woman is wide. Preach has room to run now, and here she comes charging on through. La Spia is there on the outside. Speed Dialer, Pleasant Stage, weaving her way through the stretch here, looking for running room as they come down toward the final furlong. And La Spia has emerged with the lead. Pleasant Stage is putting in a late run, but they are running out of ground. It's La Spia, Pleasant Stage with one final run at her as they come to the wire. It'll be close, and Pleasant Stage gets their last stride. Very close indeed. La Spia was right there with her. It's a photo finish for the juvenile fillies.
The Buckland Farm filly had used the Churchill stretch to her advantage, rumbling past the long shots in the final strides. Pleasant Stage, now a Breeders' Cup champion. 7 for 7 in Canada, Dance Smartly had beaten the boys and winning the Canadian Triple Crown.
And long shot, Richards last, leads the way 80-1, and on the lead now as the field enters the final turn. Brought to mind right there, ready to attack on the outside. Fit for a Queen, tracking the lead intently in third. Dance Smartly. Pat Day now is still motionless. She has yet to do her best running, but now there she goes. Dance Smartly with a sweeping move on the outside is coming toward the lead. Grand Girlfriend also kicks in. Queen is coming hard on the extreme outside now as the field comes down toward the final furlong. Brought to mind with a short lead. Dance Smartly is right there on the outside. Fit for a Queen, Brave at the rail third. Here comes Versailles Treaty, who's kicking in late, but it is Dance Smartly. She takes the lead under Pat Day's urging and pulls away here by 2. It is Versailles Treaty, but is too late and not enough, and it is Dance Smartly who strides under the line, undefeated this year, and the undisputed queen of racing on this continent.
The Canadian Horse of the Year was now the first horse bred in Canada to win a Breeders' Cup race. Dance Smartly, the pride of owner Ernie Samuel. In a year with no dominant miler from Europe in the field, the Americans In Excess and Tight Spot were the top choices in the mile.
It is In Excess. Tight Spot confronts him now. Tight Spot and In Excess, and those two, and Jolie's Halo is mixing up in between them. And the duel intensifies now as they round the fire turn. In Excess bracing all out for the challenge. Tight Spot is right there. Jolie's Halo still fighting it out. Densous Dessois looking for a seam to run through toward the inside. Opening Verse is coming with his run now. Chaudier looking for running room. Priolo's in behind a wall of horses. Val de Bois passing the furlong pole. Opening Verse has now taken the lead, and Densous Dessois moves through toward the inside. A late charge from Star of Cozine down to the wire now. Opening Verse, yes, he pulls off the upset.
Opening Verse had won at Churchill in May, and at 26-1, he showed a liking for the course once again. Rarely, if ever, had a horse come across the Atlantic to the Breeders' Cup with the advanced billing of Arazi. Trained by the French master Francois Boutin, the son of Blushing Groom was the prince of European 2-year-olds. Now he would try the Americans on their surface.
Two favorites here, Arazi and Bertrando, and indeed it is Arazi who is a slight favorite as he takes his place in the starting gate. We're ready for the start in the juvenile, and they're off, and Bertrando comes out running. Agincourt is right there, and on the outside it's Starry Coot. But it is Bertrando, Alex Solis, intent on the lead, and he wins the race into the first turn. He's there by a length and a half. Star Recruit and Bag in close pursuit. Agincourt saving ground all the way. Devil on Ice was 5 rounding the first turn. Showbrook is now racing 6th in between horses. Pine Bluff is under a firm hold at the inside, racing 7th. Big Sur is 8th on the outside. Onlooker is 9th. Try to Watch is 10th. He's about 10 lengths off the lead, and he's launching a bid now from the back of the pack. Then it's Dance Floor. Farther back, Snappy Landing and Arazi, the European star, is a dozen lengths from the front as Offbeat trails the field as they continue midway down the backstretch. Bertrando coasting on an uncontested lead, and he's moving at a quick pace. The quarter in 23 and 1. He gets a half in 46 and 3/5 seconds. It is still Bertrando out there unchallenged. He leads by 2. Long shot Agincourt still chasing second. Pine Bluff is only 3 lengths from the lead. Arazi hits his best stride, and there goes the European star Arazi, and he's coming with a menacing rush to Bertrando, and now the stage is set as they move toward the top of the stretch, and Arazi runs right by him. Arazi with a dramatic move as the field turns for home. He's wide into the stretch. Bertrando stunned at the inside with the move here of Arazi, and he's pouring it on. Just incredible move as they come to the top of the stretch by 4 now. And then it's Bertrando, who is now a discouraged second farther back. It is Snappy Landing, and they're coming down to the finish here. Here indeed is a superstar. Arazi, absolutely brilliant. He was taken under a hard hold to win it here by 5, and he could have won by 10 perhaps. And Bertrando was second. Absolutely sensational.
Down the backstretch, Pat Valenzuela had only 1 horse beat. Suddenly, he asked Arazi to go, and he turned on the afterburners. Arazi, with a brilliant move, he's just running by horses like they're tied to a post. Look at Arazi now to the outside. Bertrando had made an easy lead, was going along in stride, and Arazi just blew by.
Electrifying, one of the greatest performances ever by a 2-year-old. The crowd was stunned at Arazi's brilliance. Arazi, a conquering hero. Pistolet Bleu of France, with 5 wins and 7 lifetime starts, led the field in the turf.
And now, less than a half-mile left in this Breeders' Cup Turf. Sky Classic has been prompted the whole way by its All Greek to Me. Quest for Fame has had a perfect trip. Pistolet Bleu still waiting patiently to make his move. Cartagena, then Missalege. On the outside, Pigeon Voyager. Then toward the inside, Sadler's Hall. El Senor is picking off horses on the far outside. And Falago has dropped out of it, and the field turns for home now. The stage is set for the stretch drive. It's All Greek to Me. Powers to a short lead. Sky Classic trying to battle back right there toward the inside. It's All Greek to Me. Quest for Fame is charging hard. Pistolet Bleu not doing enough here. And Missalege is flying down the center of the course. It's All Greek to Me desperately trying to hold. And Missalege pulls off another shocker here on Breeders' Cup Day 1991. Just another day and another upset here. It's All Greek to Me was second as Missalege wins the turf at a big, big price.
The long shot Missalege, often close but rarely a winner, had her only victory of the season in the Breeders' Cup. The horses in the Classic had accounted for 21 victories in various derbies. 1990 Kentucky Derby and Breeders' Cup Classic winner Unbridled was in the gate, along with 1991 Kentucky Derby winner Strike the Gold. The field was so balanced, 5 horses went off at odds of 6 to 1 or less.
Gate, and they're off in the Breeders' Cup Classic, and it is Black Tie Affair who comes out running for the lead. Star of Gdansk is there. Chief Honcho was pinched back in between horses, and Summer Squall, with that good tactical speed, maintains a forward position at the inside. And they pass beneath the twin spires for the first time as Black Tie Affair will lead the Classic field under the wire. Summer Squall under a firm hold there by Pat Day. Star of Gdansk is up close to the pace, and then it's Fly So Free racing 3 wide. Twilight Agenda 4 wide into the turn. Long shot Kudos is settled in 6 toward the inside. Chief Honcho is moving along smoothly in 7th. And then it's Marquetry racing in 8th position. He's about 9 lengths from the front. And then farther back, the late running power of Strike the Gold, Unbridled, and Festine. They're all about 12 lengths from the front now. And And Black Tie Affair is just cruising on an easy lead. A dawdling pace in the Classic, 24-1 for the quarter, 48 2/5 seconds for the half. And it is Black Tie Affair bounding along. Star of Gdansk is trying to run to him, but Black Tie Affair lets it out another notch. Twilight Agenda, third on the outside. Summer Squall is now back racing in fourth. He's down inside. And then it's Fly So Free. Chief Honcho's gearing up on the far outside, followed by Marquetry. Kudos has dropped out of it. And huge margins to be made up here by Unbridled, Strike the Golden Festine. They are far behind. They're at least 15 lengths from the front. And now, here comes Twilight Agenda to challenge Black Tie Affair as they approach the top of the stretch here at Churchill Downs. Fly So Free is poised in third position. Chief Honcho rallies on the outside. Marquetry is also right there. Summer Squall is still 6 lengths from the lead now. Unbridled is coming with his rally, but he's 7 lengths from the front with a furlong to go. And Black Tie Affair grimly trying to hold on to the lead. On the outside, Twilight Agenda. It'll be those two. Black Tie Affair on the inside. Twilight Agenda. Black Tie Affair. And a front-running masterpiece of race riding here by Jerry Bailey does it.
Black Tie Affair had won at 6 different tracks in 1991, including Churchill Downs. He was as tough a front runner as we have ever seen in the Breeders' Cup Classic, on his way to the Horse of the Year title, as the ancient twin spires of Churchill Downs witnessed yet another racing masterpiece. From the fall chill of Kentucky, it was back to the warmth of South Florida for the 1992 edition. Sheik Albadoo returned to defend his title at Gulfstream in the sprint, but the favorite was Rubiano, the top sprinter in the East.
Sprint, and they're off. And Rubiano came out like a rocket. And Mia Farah is also right there with 30 Slews in between those two. But it's the filly Mia Farah who takes the lead. 30 Slews is now running second. Arrowtown toward the inside third. Cardmania fourth. Sheik Albadoo is fifth. LBO 6 toward the inside. Super Strike is 7th on the outside. He's about 7 lengths from the lead. Grace Loopy is running 8th. Mr. Brooks is down on the inside. He's 9th. Furiously is 10th, and he's in behind horses. Rubiano is 11th, but he's clear of trouble on the outside. Salt Lake is 12th. Canadian King Corey is 13th, and the late-running Senior Speedy trails the field. A dazzling opening quarter here of 21-3, and the filly Mia Farah flaunting her speed as they come to the top of the stretch. She leads by 2. LBO is putting in a run toward the inside. 30 Slews is set down for the drive. Sheik Albadoo is coming with his run down the center of the racetrack. Then Super Strike. Rubiano's 8 lengths from the lead, and it's Mia Farah leading the way with the 16th to come. 30 Slews, her only challenger. Mia Farah trying to hold. 30 Slews surges to victory. It's 30 Slews who wins by a neck. Mia Farah was again second, and Rubiano was third, and the time was 1:08.1.
Entering the final turn, Mr. Brooks had fallen, and concern for the condition of the riding legend, Lester Piggott, overwhelmed interest in the outcome of the race as he was taken to the hospital. It was the first serious injury to a jockey in the history of the Breeders' Cup. He would recover from a broken collarbone to ride the following year. For the winning 30 Slews, who had missed most of the year with injuries, the performance capped an outstanding comeback. Alan Paulson was the half owner of Arazi. Paying a high compliment, he called Eliza, sent off at 6-5 in the juvenile fillies, his female Arazi.
The opening quarter went to 23 seconds flat. There goes Eliza. Pat Valenzuela can hold her no more, and she rushes to the lead with a half mile to run here. And solid fractions the half in 47 seconds flat, and Eliza's pulling away to a 2-length lead. Educated Risk trying to come after her now, and there goes Educated Risk as they round the far turn. And those two in a confrontation way round the turn. 5 lengths back to Zunapo is running third. Super Gem is putting in a run toward the inside. Then Bully on the outside, and Boots and Jackie, and they're coming to the top of the stretch. And Eliza's put to a drive. Educated Risk is right at her throat as they've straightened away into the stretch. And Valenzuela goes to work on Eliza, and Eliza is responding. Educated Risk is full out. Boots and Jackie is closing third, 100 yards from home, and Eliza is home free. Eliza does it. Educated Risk was Jackson jockey, closing run.
It was a great moment for Alan Paulson. Under confident handling by Pat Valenzuela, Eliza's victory was easier than the 1-length margin indicated. In the distaff, the 5-year-old mare Passiana was dominant earlier in the year, but 2 recent losses made her second choice in the betting to the New York 3-year-old filly Saratoga Do.
And Passiana has taken the lead under a cool and confident Chris McCarron. It's Passiana in front as they turn for home. Fought is all out trying to get to her. Saratoga Do couldn't keep up. Light is in with a chance. Magical Maiden is there on the outside. Marling is still in heavy traffic, but it is Passiana running away from them. 4 lengths clear, 5 lengths clear. Spectacular stretch drive. Versailles Treaty is second. Magical Maiden third. No doubt about the best mare in America. It's Passiana.
Trainer Ron McAnally's mare had returned to her top form. The $200,000 spent by owners Sid and Jenny Craig to supplement her to the race was money well spent. Passiana showing her championship form in the distaff. A disappointing favorite in the Kentucky Derby, Arazi was back to redeem himself as the favorite in the mile.
Lotus Pool shows speed. Lure is right there from the inside in 49er Days. And there goes Luthier Enchanteur to grab a lead under the line the first time. 3 of them now vying for the lead. It's Lure toward the inside now, grabs a short lead. On the outside, 49er Days pressing. Luthier Enchanteur backs off. Arazi is up close, and he hugs the hedge, saving ground all the way. 4 Stars All-Star is running 5th in between horses. Paradise Creek is 6th and gaining ground on the outside. Exit to Nowhere is 7th, about 7 lengths from the lead. Thunder Region is 8th. Selkirk is 9th toward the inside. Lotus Pool is running in 10th. Then Cardoon and Bistro Garden. Brief Truce is second to last, and the trailer is Val de Bois, 15 lengths from Lure, who blazes the way up the backstretch. He got an opening quarter in 22-4 and a come and get me half in 45-4. They're a half mile out and Lure leads the way. 49er Days right there. Luthier Enchanteur on the outside. He's right there running in 3rd. Arazi is only 2 lengths from the lead. As they enter the far turn, 4 Stars All-Star is right alongside Arazi. Then it's Paradise Creek and Selkirk, who's in behind a wall of horses. Exit to Nowhere's in cramped quarters, but they have to catch Lure as they turn for home. He spurts away from the field by 4. Luthier Enchanteur is now running second. 49er Days. Arazi does not have it. Paradise Creek on the outside. Lure running a huge race this afternoon. He's in front by 4. Brief Truce is coming fast, but he's coming too late. Lure does it in front running style. He won by 3. Paradise Creek second, followed by Brief Truce.
Arazi had disappointed again, but Lure switched to the turf late in the season, broke from the rail, and had too much speed for this field. A winner on both coasts and in Chicago, Gilded Time was a deserving 2-1 favorite in the juvenile.
Moving toward the top of the stretch, it is a River Special in front by a head. Gilded Time is right at his neck on the outside. Caponostro is bravely running in 3rd. Secret Odds toward the inside, then Sea Hero. It's a little-known fact, was fanned 7 wide into the stretch. And it is Gilded Time and River Special. And River Special stubbornly at the inside. Gilded Time on the outside is resolute. It's a little-known fact, is closing fast. But it is Gilded Time. Gilded Time, it's a little-known fact. Gilded Time, undefeated and a champion.
David Milch, a producer of Hill Street Blues, had seen his horse, Gilded Time, go undefeated as a 2-year-old. It was a moment of which owners dream.
Open him up, Chris. Open him, Chris. Now, come on, now, Chris. Now, Chris. Now, Chris. Now. Hang on. We got it.
For Chris McCarron, his 3rd Breeders' Cup win. Canada's Sky Classic was a force to be reckoned with in the turf. He had 5 wins in 2 seconds in 7 starts leading up to the race and was the only odds-on favorite of the day.
They've run 3 quarters in 1, 11 and 2/5 seconds. And the big favorite Sky Classic right there in behind the lead. He's yet to make his run as they move into the fire turn. Solar Splendors toward the inside. The arc winner, Subotica, is in perfect striking position on the outside. The cadence quickens and the duel intensifies on the turn. And Navarone surges to the lead midway around the fire turn. And Sky Classic has a clear aim to him as they move toward the top of the stretch. Subotica's on the outside third. Daros is done, and Fraze moves into contention. Navarone turns for home in front with Sky Classic running by him. Sky Classic takes the lead, but Fraze is coming up the inside, and Quest for Fame is closing third. Sky Classic fully extended. Fraze on the inside, and Fraze nips Sky Classic in the last stride of the Breeders' Cup turf.
Fraze was last after a half mile, but got up to gain the decision by a nose. A $2.9 million yearling, AP Indy, had won the Belmont Stakes and Santa Anita Derby earlier in the year. To win Horse of the Year, he would have to reverse a loss to the 5-year-old Pleasant Tap in the Jockey Club Gold Cup.
In the game, and they are off in the 9th. Breeders' Cup Classic, and AP Indy breaks well today, comes out running for the lead. Jolie's Halo with good speed as well. Defensive play is there toward the inside. Thunder Rumble is up close to a strong early pace here as they race by the stands for the first time. It's Jolie's Halo and Thunder Rumble, and those two hook up in an early duel. Defensive play is in behind him. Sultry Song is now moving into third. Technology is 4 wide, running in fourth. Then toward the inside, defensive play is fifth. AP Indy is running sixth. Jolifa is a wide seventh. Zoman is up close to an early pace. Marquetry's there on the outside. And then it's Pleasant Tap. He's running now in 11th position. He's only about 8 lengths from the early lead. European Rodrigo Di Triano's to his outside. Then it's 5 lengths to Rain Road. And far, far behind is Strike the Gold. He's already 20 out of it. And the half went in 45 and 4. A sizzling pace here as they move into the backstretch. Thunder Rumble is pressed hard under intense pressure from Jolie's Halo. Technology is trying to keep pace in third. Defensive play is right there now, racing in fourth position. Sultry Song is fifth. Zoman is only 5 lengths from the lead. Jolifa's moving strongly as they move into the far turn. AP Indy's dropped back in the pack. Pleasant Tap is in between horses now. He's still about 7 lengths from the lead. And then it's Marquetry as they're on the far turn. And Thunder Rumble rolls to a 2-length lead now. Defensive play is moved in toward the inside. Jolie's Halo's in an all-out drive. He's working hard to keep up. AP Indy is finding his best stride, and he's moving powerfully in between horses as they move toward the top of the stretch in this 9th Breeders' Cup Classic. Defensive play. Thunder Rumble still there. AP Indy's in an all-out drive, and Pleasant Tap is coming with giant strides on the inside. They're coming to the finish. It is AP Indy in front. Pleasant Tap, one last run at him. AP Indy wins the Breeders' Cup Classic by 3 conclusive lengths.
They finished 1-2 as expected, but this time it was AP Indy over Pleasant Tap. The 3-year-old on his way to Horse of the Year as the sun set on another Breeders' Cup day at Gulfstream Park. Beautiful Santa Anita in Southern California was the setting for the 10th anniversary of the Breeders' Cup. As was often the case, the sprint was a wide-open affair.
For the Breeders' Cup sprint, and they're off. 30 Slews breaks alertly on the outside. Mia Farah and Demalut Demishute. Gilded Time, flashing speed from the inside. Up the back stretch, and it's the filly. Mia Farah leading the way. Demalut Demishute all out, trying to stick with her early. Then toward the inside, Gilded Time is running third. LED is up close, running in fourth position. On the outside, 30 Slews is fifth. Surprise Offer, 6th toward the inside. The Canadian filly, Apelia, is running in 7th. The French spinner, Mon Bleu, is 8th on the far outside. Sayadati is 9th. Cardmania was up close earlier, but he's dropped back to 10th. Fly So Free is 11th. Bird on the Wire, the favorite, is better than 12 lengths from the lead with less than 3 furlongs to run. Then now listen, and Music Merci is the trailer. And the filly flaunts her speed. The opening quarter went in 21 seconds as the field turns for home. Gilded Time takes a run at Mia Farah. Demalut Demishute hanging tough toward the inside. On the outside, 30 Slews is right there. Cardmania is closing, and Mon Bleu, but it's still the filly holding on. Mia Farah is still there. Gilded Time
The 7-year-old gelding Cardmania became the oldest horse ever to win a Breeders' Cup race. The California-based sprinter here coming from way back in the pack. Mia Farah, the gray filly in front, Gilded Time, and Cardmania on the outside, just getting up to nip Mia Farah for the win in the sprint. In the juvenile fillies, Phone Chatter and Sardula had beaten each other on the West Coast. But undefeated Heavenly Prize from the East was a slight favorite.
Sardula trying to fight off Stellar Cat. Phone Chatter looms large on the outside. Heavenly Prize is right there in behind the lead. Rhapsodic is kicking out as the field straightens away for the run into the final furlong. Sardula is fully extended to hold off the oncoming Phone Chatter. Phone Chatter and Sardula going to the 16th pole. Heavenly Prize is third. What a finish as they come to the line. Sardula and Phone Chatter stride for stride. And Phone Chatter prevails in a stiff drive to win it.
Phone Chatter and Sardula provided the most memorable stretch battle in the first 10 years of the juvenile fillies. Phone Chatter on the outside just getting the win under jockey Lafitte Pinkai. Phone Chatter in the juvenile fillies. Defending champion Passiana was seeking a repeat win in the distaff, but 3-year-old Hollywood Wildcat was a slight favorite.
The field moving into the far turn now, and Hollywood Wildcat makes a run at the lead. Hollywood Wildcat on the outside, Super Gem digs down, and now Passiana poised and making her move for the lead, and Sky Beauty coming into contention on the outside. Dispute behind a wall of horses is fifth as the field turns for home, and Passiana has a short lead, but Hollywood Wildcat is right there with her, and those two headlong into the final furlong together. McCarran all over his champion mare Passiana. On the inside, Hollywood Wildcat is resolute. Hollywood Wildcat and Passiana striding to the line. Here's the finish, and it's Hollywood Wildcat. Eddie Delahousse dropped his whip, but it looks like he got the victory.
Despite losing his whip in the final 16th, jockey Eddie Delahousse got Hollywood Wildcat up for the narrow win. There was no shame in defeat for Passiana. She too was a champion. Hollywood Wildcat won the Eclipse Award as the top 3-year-old filly of the year. Passiana took the Eclipse as champion older mare. California-based Hollywood Wildcat, trained by Neil Drysdale, prevails in the Breeders' Cup Distaff. There was another attempt to repeat in the mile. Lure, a recent convert to the grass in '92, was America's leading grass miler all season in '93. Breaking from the 12 post, the question was whether the post would hamper the front-running Lure.
And they're off. Flawlessly broke well. Ski Paradise is there with 4 Stars All-Star. Paradise Creek is in among horses, and Lure a bit wide as they head onto the first turn. Under the line the first time, and a charge, a crush of horses moving for the first turn. And Lure is caught 5 wide into the turn. Ski Paradise benefits from her inside post position now, and she goes wide and took many of them with her. Also going wide there was Barathea. The field rounding the turn now after an eventful move into the turn. Lure was taken wide, but now he goes on to take the lead. Ski Paradise, who was the culprit, is now back running in second. 4 Stars All-Star is third. Paradise Creek fourth. On the outside, Leck running in fifth. Flawlessly is now sixth. Wolfhound seventh, followed by his mate Catrell is moving up. Barathea moves through an opening toward the inside. Big Stone is being helped along with the half-mile to run now. Then it's Two Sows near the back of the pack and in behind horses, followed by Buckar and Johann Quatz. The half, a grueling 45-4, and Lure is trying to go it on the lead again. It's Lure the leader, pressured by 4 Stars All-Star. Ski Paradise is now dropped back into third, and then it's Barathea who's now fourth in between horses. Paradise Creek on the outside is running in fifth. Big Stone looking for a big run now, and he's threading his way through between horses, but Lure looking for a repeat win in the mile. The leader a length and a half with a furlong from the line. Ski Paradise is resurgent again. 4 Stars All-Star. Big Stone is flattened out, and they're coming down to the line, and it will be Lure once again overcoming trouble on the first turn, and he goes on to a clear-cut and decisive repeat victory in the mile.
Like the great Miesk before him, Lure had scored a decisive repeat in the mile despite that number 12 post position under jockey Mike Smith. The dominant 2-year-old colt in the East De Hare had gotten a lot of media attention and was a big favorite in the juvenile.
It's still winning pack, holding on to the lead. He fought off the challenge of De Hare, but faces a challenge from Bronco. And here comes Bronco to take the lead at the 8th pole. Winning pack to Legwary second. Bloomin' Affair is third, and De Hare has been defeated. There's a new kid on the block, and his name is Bronco, and he is sensational in victory, striding under the wire. 5 lengths clear of Bloomin' Affair, and farther back it was Tabasco Cat third.
De Hare had failed. Bronco, ridden by Gary Stevens, was the super horse on Breeders' Cup Day at Santa Anita. They were both veterans of the Santa Anita turf course. Number 11, Kodashan, had twice defeated number 10, Bien Bien, earlier in the season. Kodashan was the hot horse now. He had won 5 of his last 6, and he was the 3-2 favorite in the turf.
Kodashan is still conserved as they move into the far turn. They're a half mile out now in the Breeders' Cup turf, and Louisor threatening to go wire to wire, but Kodashan is uncoiling on the outside. Bien Bien is moving with him, and here comes the English champ Opera House as the field turns for home. Kodashan catapulting past horses on the outside, and Bien Bien, those two shoulder to shoulder now as they come to the final furlong. Louisor toward the inside. Opera House is done, and Hatuf, it has Bien Bien running a brave race today. Kodashan lengthening his stride, and Kodashan is the victor. Bien Bien was second, and Louisor was third.
Kodashan using the win as a springboard to the champion turf title. But getting by Bien Bien was no easy task. Here is Bien Bien on the inside under Chris McCarron, Kodashan and Kent DeSormo on the outside. And it's only in the final strides that Kodashan is able to get up for the win in the Breeders' Cup turf. Now Bertrando's race in the Classic would determine Horse of the Year. The front-running Bertrando had won major races on both coasts coming up to the Classic. As the 6-5 favorite, he would dictate the pace.
Bertrando broke alertly, and he is going immediately after the lead. Marquetry is away second, and toward the inside it's Azud. But it is Bertrando who establishes the lead at once, and he goes directly to the rail with the 2.5 length lead, and his mate Marquetry concedes the lead second on the outside. Azud up close third, and so is Best Pal, and he's moving through between horses fourth, and Diazo is a close fifth on the outside, first time under the line. Miner's Mark is 3 wide, running in sixth. The Belmont winner Colonial Affair is seventh toward the inside. Kissin' Chris is up close to the pace today, only 6 lengths from the lead. Then farther back it's Arkong, and Devil Is Due is alongside him. Then farther back it's a break of 4 lengths to Pleasant Tango. Missionary Ridge is second to last while his stablemates run 1-2, and at the back of the pack is late running Walenda. Solid fractions here, the opening half mile in 46 and 4/5 seconds. Bertrando leads the way down the backstretch with his stablemate Marquetry just off his flank. Diazo is up close and eager. He's third on the outside. Toward the rail, it's Azud running in fourth. And the Californian, Best Pal, laid back in 5th position. Miner's Mark is 6th with a half mile to run. Arkang beginning to hit his best stride. Devil Is Due is sent 4 wide as they move into the far turn. Colonial Affair is only 7 lengths from the lead. Then farther back, Pleasant Tango. Kissin' Chris is dropped back. Missionary Ridge. And Walenda is the trailer, 15 lengths from Bertrando, who blazes the way around the far turn. Marquetry is right there. Diazo taking his run for the lead as they come to the top of the stretch. Azud is still in with the chance in behind horses. Best Pal is only 4 lengths from the lead. Pleasant Tango is coming hard. Kissin' Chris is also right there. Arkang is coming in between horses, and it's still Bertrando with an onslaught of challengers. Here comes Arkang, a huge upset looming here as Arkang comes flying on the outside, and he runs by Bertrando. Kissin' Chris. Here is Arkang to win it in an absolute shocker. He's 99-1 in the $3 million Classic.
The mystery horse from France had scored the biggest upset in Breeders' Cup history, officially 133-1. Here's Bertrando, the early pace setter, now being overhauled by Arkong. Jerry Bailey couldn't pronounce the horse's name, but he gave Arkong a spectacular ride. On the outside, Arkong pulling away from Bertrando and going to an easy win in the $3 million Breeders' Cup Classic. The tote board set a surge of electricity through the crowd as Arkong paid $269.20 to win, as Santa Anita rode a shocking finale to 10 years of the Breeders' Cup.
In 10 short years, the Breeders' Cup has changed the face of racing, bringing together the best horses from the East Coast, the West Coast, and Middle America to meet the best from Europe, deciding most year-end championships on the track. The first decade of the Breeders' Cup has firmly established it as racing's championship event. As we look forward to the second decade, it could only be better.